Mr. G back again. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be working on the C3, the 1974, and a very common problem with these cars is loss of vacuum and losing control of the pop-up headlights.
Hey folks, this is Mr. G and welcome to Just Corvette Crazy. On this channel we talk about Corvettes, we fix some Corvettes, and we love to drive our Corvettes. So if you like what you see, hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel out a lot. Thanks.
So this, I had repaired this once upon a time when I first worked on this car 6 years ago, but it has recently popped up again, if you will. So what we're going to do is we're going to look for a vacuum leak and see if we can find the cause of this headlight popping up. So they won't go down, they won't come back up, they're basically locked in the up position right now, so that I do have headlights when I drive at night. But we'll see if we can solve this problem, so stay tuned. Alright, so once again, in order to see if we can find the vacuum leak, we've got our fog fury. So it's a fog machine. Again, I used to use this when I was doing some DJ work years ago. I still have the machine. If you were around, we used it to look for vacuum leaks on the C3 Corvette. It works really well. So what we're going to do, we're going to plug this thing in. I'm going to connect a hose from the front, and I'm going to go into the brake booster line and pump in some smoke or fog, and then we're going to look to see if we can find where that fog is coming out. So I'll get that all set up and then we'll come right back. Alright, so I've got the brake boost line off, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach my hose from the fog machine basically to here. So here's the hose. So basically I'm going to make a connection like this, just wrap it in tape, and then we're going to look. Now I can see right there is a problem, and that might be our issue right there. This line was out. So we're going to check anyway. So the idea, here's the fog machine. So basically I have a remote control. So remote control, I pull the trigger and we get some smoke. It looks like that. So what we're looking for is to get enough smoke in the system and then look for leaks in the vacuum line. So I'll get this hooked up and we'll get going. Alright, so we're back again. I now have this just basically taped up from my hose. So this is an old shop vac vacuum cleaner hose. I have it taped to the front of the fog machine, and then I have it taped here to the brake booster line. So I'm going to introduce some fog or smoke, and we're going to see if we can find out where it's coming from. My guess is we're going to get some right out of there. Now that is a check valve, so we're going to see if we might not get any out of there. Just, yep, there we go. Okay, so there's that one. That's what we're looking for. And what we're going to also check is down at the front of the car. So let me just fix this one up here. Obviously this has been taped up. So basically we have a splitter and a check valve. So let's see, that should fix that one up. Okay, so there's some coming out there big time, and I'll double check. That might just be coming out through the carburetor, which is normal, because there is some space in the carb. I might have to just plug that up with my hand to see, but I think that's where that's coming from. So this leak is good. I doesn't see anything else in here. Okay, so I don't see anything on the top of the engine. So what we're going to do is I'm going to remove the air cleaner. Remove that air cleaner we've got. And my guess is we're going to be having some come out through the top of our carburetor here. Yep. But I'm also seeing a little bit coming out over there. Okay. So out of the carb I'm getting some, and that's going to be normal. But I am seeing some that's coming out the side over there that I should not see. So I'm going to have to test check that. All right. So let me grab the camera and move it down to the front of the car. And what we're going to be looking for is vacuum leaks around different areas. So these are all vacuum lines down here. I'll see if I can put the light down so that we can see. It's not going to work that way. Do it this way. So these are all vacuum lines that control the headlights. So these canisters here and here, okay, they're actually the actuators. And then there's a control valve, which is up underneath. So let's just put some smoke in. Hopefully we get enough smoke that's not coming out the carb. So maybe what I'll do is I'm going to put a rag over the carb. Yep. So I'm not seeing any fog at all down in here. Now what I want to do is I'll probably want to remove one of these lines so that I can make sure that the fog is actually there. So I'm just going to put the camera on a stand. What I'm going to do is remove one of these vacuum lines here and see if we have any kind of smoke or fog present. That just makes sure that the fog and the smoke are getting to this point. So I'm just going to carefully remove one of these vacuum lines off this T and see if we get any so we're not getting any kind of vacuum or any kind of fog or smoke present down here. Okay. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to button this back up. I think all of the fog is coming out the carburetor. Again, we're losing a lot of the fog coming up through the carburetor, through the intake. So it might not actually be making it all the way. So now if this doesn't work, what we could do is introduce fog directly into the lines that are going down to that area down there and check. So basically bypassing the carb area. So we can do that. All right, so what I found is an old turkey baster that I had for sucking up fluids, such as brake fluid or whatever. Kind of washed it down. And what I'm going to try and do is I've got to go into this hose here. Like so. And then the other end is going to go onto my fog machine. So I'll bring the fog machine around like so, and all I need to do is apply some tape, and hopefully we're good. Alright, so we got a better seal there. So now we're going to try again and see if we get any fog at all down the front to the car. See, I think we've got a decent seal at the front because we're not getting any fog coming into the system. So let me show you what I mean. So if you look at this hose here, okay, so where the turkey baster is, if I do this, I'm not getting any fog through there at all. It's all escaping down here. But if I remove this, see, I'm getting filled up with smoke. So when I put it onto the hose, the vacuum line, I'm not getting any smoke traveling through there. So that means that the system it feels like it's sealed. Alright, so what I'm going to do is start up the engine. I've put everything back together, so the vacuum line to the brake booster, this vacuum line back, everything here looks good. So what I'm going to do is fire up the engine and build up a little bit of vacuum and see if we get lucky enough that that the lights come up and down. If they do not, then we will have to get underneath the car, put it up on the hoist, and get under the car and take a look to see if we can manually operate the headlights with a manually controlled vacuum. So we can test to make sure that the actual vacuum canisters that open and close the lights, as well as the control valve and all that kind of stuff down under there, make sure that they're working fine. So yeah, back another day, so let's just fire up the engine. Let's see if she'll start without me in the car. Well, look at that. I found a plugged line. So, underneath here, this line is very loose. So there was some tape or something that was put here, and it was plugging that line. So I pulled this off, pulled the tape off, and the headlights closed right away. Wow, look at that. So I'm going to see if I can find myself a better fitting line here to here. That would be amazing if I could. Let me see what I've got. So here we are. Got everything all buttoned up. This line here is still a little bit loose. I'm going to see if I can put a clamp on there, but it goes in. So we're going to fire things up and see how we're doing. Here we go. All right, headlights are down. Headlights are up. Headlights are up. Headlights are down. Look at that. So, basically what we had was a plugged line here. So it was no vacuum leaks, but a plugged line. So the vacuum wasn't getting all the way up into here the way it should have. So this line here was good. If you remember, we did that test with the smoke down this line, and no smoke actually entered into the line. That meant that everything was sealed down there, because you can't force, in a sealed system, you can't force more air into that system. I had an idea that it was okay, because I had replaced the canister seals and actuators when I bought this car. So I had an idea that it was good, but I just had no idea that we ended up with a plugged line here. So again, there was some tape that was wrapped around the valve, obviously to tighten up that hose, and that tape had slipped off and was plugging up our vacuum line. So we're all good to go. So that's basically troubleshooting a system on a C3 Corvette when you have no problem, or a problem with the headlights opening and closing. It's a complete vacuum system. So we've got check valves, splitters, and we come down into this area at the front with the actual canisters. So a good test again is to check this line here that goes into the front of the car. And if you can't force more air into it, so in our case the smoke, then that system down there is sealed and we don't have any leaks. If we did have a leak, then smoke would enter in here and have somewhere to flow out. So that's good on that side. So again, our problem in this case was a plugged line here. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to see if I can put another clamp on that bracket or on that valve there, and just kind of make sure that that hose is a little more secure. But that solves our problem. So again, if you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, subscribe. Just Corvette Crazy, it's Mr. G. We'll see you next time.